Hi everyone, welcome to this new video. In this video, I thought of talking to you about one book that I have started reading like maybe last week. And this book is called Tell Me a Story and it's edited by Ravinder Singh, a very popular Indian author. I have read a lot of books of Ravinder Singh. I have read I Too Had a Love Story, Can Love Happen Twice, Will You Still Love Me, The Love That Feels Right. So I think almost most of them I have covered. There are just few, two or three books which I hadn't read. The recent ones I hadn't read. So this one is again a compilation. He has done a lot of compilations before as well. He had a compilation of love stories. Then there was another one in which he collected stories of childhood. So I think he has a knack to pick up stories which would resonate with you, resonate with the readers. Then this one, it's Tell Me a Story, and it's mainly inspiring, touching, funny stories. So it's not related to any one kind of emotion. There are multiple different kinds of emotions. So I got it from my sister. She had purchased it from some fair, and after that, when I came to Chenganur, my hometown this time, we were discussing books, and then she showed me this one, and I wanted to read it, so I got it here. I'm still in my hometown. So what I thought is I'll take a series of video where I'll go through each story in that book. It's just want to share the story and will be giving all due credits to the author who has actually written the story. I'll be just giving you a very short summary of what was story about, and we can just have some discussion on the concepts or on the emotions that are being discussed in the story or the emotions that are coming up in the story. So for me, reading is all about empathizing. I feel that reading has always helped me to empathize more with all the different kinds of people, because sometimes we don't go through the experience that an author has written in the book. We might never have gone through that experience, but when somebody writes in such an expressive way, we feel like we are in that situation. So that helps you to get the same feeling. It gives you a simulated environment, and you feel that you are in that environment, and you will start thinking like what I would have done in that place. So I strongly feel that reading will give you the power to empathize more with people. You'll start to understand people more. You'll empathize with them more. So it's not sympathy or anything. More importantly, I feel it's more important to have empathy in this world, because that brings a lot of difference. It's like kindness, but empathizing is like, even if you don't give any material benefits to anybody, if you can still just empathize with a person, just uh, listen to a person's emotions and then truly understand their feelings, that gives a lot of relief to that other person. Anybody who is in depression or who is feeling very disappointed with their life, if you just spend your time with that person and give your ears, lend your ears to them, so that they can completely vent out the disappointment, the sorrow that they have, it gives a huge relief to that person, and that also gives us some kind of satisfaction. It's also a lesson for us, because you may not never had that same kind of experience, but through them you will get what you would have felt if you also were in that same situation. So it's, in a way, I feel reading is some habit, it's a hobby which doesn't have any disadvantages. I'll always encourage people to keep reading, and I always want to thank my mom for introducing me to books, reading. She is the one who made sure that I read a lot of books. She always made sure that I always have enough books with me to keep me occupied. That was the way I was occupied at home. I had my dolls, but along with that, I had a lot of books every time. And it's not like big, big books, novels, and all. Every time it wasn't novels, it was a very gradual evolution in a way, because I started with very toddlers, kindergarten kids magazine. There was one in Malayalam, Kalikudaka, and then we slowly progressed to a little more children's magazines. So I had this one, Balarama, that is again a Malayalam fortnightly magazine. Even now it's there. And then slowly I went ahead to children's magazine, PCM children's magazine, then Hoot. So whichever salesman who used to come, news agents who used to come with the newly introduced magazines, and if my mom sees it is a children's, it's a magazine suitable for children, she will immediately subscribe to it. And my dad completely supported it, you know. Or it could also be that if my mom wanted me to read, but what if my dad said that no, I don't wish to waste the money on these books. He never said that. He will never say no to something that will be always beneficial to us. So it's both my parents who inculcated that habit of reading in me, and I'm thankful to them forever. um, so that's about reading. And even now, whenever I feel lonely, or if I feel like I don't have anybody near me, it's not others fault. Sometimes I myself choose that loneliness because I want to be with books. So books have become like a very constant companion for me wherever I go. And it's not just reading, I also love writing. But I'm not a blogger, I'm not a poetess, and I'm not a writer either in that sense. But I just write my journals. That's it. I love journaling. It has been a habit for me since my 12 years of age. I read, for the first time, I read Diary of Anne Frank, Diary of a Young Girl, which is a diary of Anne Frank. After that, I was so inspired by that, and I also started writing. I also started journaling, just like her. You know, first it was just a copy. I completely copied her. Like her, I also gave name to my diary. I think I called her Kitty or something else. I don't remember the names that I gave to my diaries, but that's how it started. It started in my seventh standard, and after that, it just continued. So after that, it became very natural to me. So now I'm a natural journal person. I can just I always carry a small notepad, or I don't have any preference as such, like how my diary should look. I don't want it fancy also, but sometimes my cousin sister, who the same person who gave me this book, so she is somebody who knows that I love writing, I love journaling. So she is the one who gives me some fancy diaries. Otherwise, I always choose any kind of notepads. So sometimes at least some cover design, if it's there, I'm fine. I like writing on unruled pages. I want it to be completely blank. I don't like writing on ruled pages. So if it is any unruled book, then I choose that for my diary writing. But even I have written on ruled pages as well. That depends on the diary I get. So yeah, so that's what makes me a lot happier, and I'm thankful for this hobby that I have, because it has saved me in more ways than I can imagine, than anybody can imagine. Because there are times when I felt so stressed about, and I felt like hopeless. But in all those times, what helped me survive through those emotions was my diary and books. So sometimes I would just sit down and write down those emotions that I'm going through, just to process those emotions. After that, I feel like everything is cleared out in my head, and the next day, I feel like the problem is completely solved. I don't know, it works like a magic. So if you haven't tried journaling till now, then you should try it definitely, you know, because it's like a magic book. I have felt like that. I just write down my problem in the book, and the next day, when I wake up, somehow the problem gets solved. So maybe it gives you a clear head, and you're able to think more clearly once you process those emotions. So it's always about that, right? Even if you're feeling angry towards somebody, or if you're feeling hatred, you're feeling all negative emotions, then as long as it's there in your head, you won't be able to concentrate on any good thing. So, if you want your life back, if you want to have your happy moments back, then you will have to get these negative emotions out of your head. And what method you choose is up to you. So, I know that everybody may not be interested in writing down. So, then you should look for other means. So, there are people who will immediately, maybe some people would like to do some yoga or some physical exercise. So, there are people who would immediately jump to the gym. So that's also another way. So everybody has got their own ways. So for me, it's my journal. I write down my diary, and then it easily gets solved. I quickly am able to process my emotions. So I just need a book and a pen. That's it. I can handle it anywhere. I can survive any circumstance if I just have a book and a pen. So definitely a pen is mightier than sword. Okay. So, yeah, let's start with the story. So, this is a book, Tell Me a Story, and it's edited by Ravinder Singh. It has got a lot of stories in it. I'll start with the first story. It's The End of the Tunnel, and it's written by Krishnashish Jana. Krishnashish Jana is, at the time this book was written, or at the time this book was published, he was a BTech student in KIIT Bhubaneswar, and he lived with his parents in Kharagpur, West Bengal. And he is an avid reader, is a blogger, and krishnashijana.blogspot.in is his poetry blog. So that's about the author. Now over to the story. So, End of the Tunnel. Here, the protagonist is a 14-year-old boy, and I think it might be the author himself. It's written in first person, so maybe it's the author recollecting one of his memories, or I don't know. But the protagonist is a 14-year-old boy, and he is living in a joint family with his uncle, with his parents and grandmother. Everybody is there at this home. And one day, he's talking about his uncle. So his uncle was having terminal cancer, and he was in a stage where he couldn't, nobody had any hope, and he is just taking medications, taking all the injections and everything, but there is no improvement, and he's bedridden. So for a long period of time, he was going through this terminal cancer, and one day he dies. So after his death, his body is brought home. Now this is the first time this boy is seeing such a scene, like what happens when somebody in your family dies. I'm sure every one of us might have gone through that, at least once in your life you might have gone through that stage where you had to witness a death, and the the procedures that happen after that, the death rituals, everything. So this was the first time for this 14-year-old boy, and it was the death of his uncle, who was also living with him. So he had seen this uncle every day. He used to see him every day, and he had seen all the pain that his uncle was going through. And now one day the uncle died. So he was unsure like how to process his emotion, but he was more of little observant. He was observing everybody around him, what is everyone's reaction to the death of his uncle, because a death happened, and what actually happens in the house when a death happens. So of course the men are busy with arranging everything for the rituals and all, and his mom trying to console the grandmother. The grandmother is the lady uh, who is the mother of the son who died. So she had two sons. One son is the boy's father, and the younger son was this uncle who died. And so the grandmother is old, but she is old, and her son died at a young age. So that's a very unfortunate situation for any mother, because any mother would never want to have that situation ever. Any loving mother would never want that situation in her life. They will always wish for their children to live no matter what, but they will never want to live when their children are not alive anymore. So for this grandmother, she was really heartbroken and shattered. And this boy was observing her, and he was unsure how to console her, or what would, make her, what would comfort her. And he also had a lot of questions in his head, that now the first time he's seeing death, and he talked to his mom. So he suddenly he understood the pain of loss. What suddenly happens when you lose your somebody who is close to you. And then he tells his mom that, please don't leave me. When I'm alive, don't leave me and go like this. I can't bear it. So whenever we have to die, we'll all die together, because so that nobody will have to grieve. Otherwise, if you leave me when I'm alive, I won't be able to bear it. And then his mom says that, oh, kid, it's not, death is never our choice. It's something will call us when it's time, and we'll have to go. But for you, we'll fight death as much as we can. So that's all a parent can say, right? That they will fight death for the child. So that's what this mom said. And then he's again having doubts that, what might have happened, why this happened to uncle. It's so sad that this happened. See, grandmother is so disappointed, so shattered. So then again, this mom said that, if you think about it, you can think of it in this way as well, that, this world is not a very fair place. The uncle had to go through a lot of struggles with having this terminal cancer. It was not an easy life for him. He was bedridden, he was having a lot of medications, and you know the thing about cancer, that you might have to go through chemo, radiations. It's all pain, completely pain. So anybody who might have had cancer, they will never wish to live in a way, because they cannot do anything that they love to do. So mom said that, this is a very unfair place to be in, and it's not always beautiful. So your uncle struggled a lot, and it's good that now he's died. At least now he might be in a better place where there is no pain anymore, and let him enjoy, let him rest. So he had a very troublesome journey, but now he has come to the end of it, and let him rest. So this is what the mom said, and these words, it completely stuck to this boy. Then he looked at his grandmother, and he could see that she is still very sad. And so he wanted to talk to his grandmother. He thought he would go and try to console her. He asked for permission to his mom, and mom said, "Yeah, you go." And then he went to his grandmother, and when he went there, he could see that the grandmother was mumbling some words. She was blaming herself, not blaming, but she felt that she was the one who was supposed to leave this world at this point, because she is old. So she was thinking, and she was probably complaining to God that, why didn't you take me? I am so old, and I didn't had anything more to achieve in this world. It was time for me to go. Why didn't you take me? And instead, why you took my child from me? You could have given his life and instead took mine. So these are the words of a mom, and any mother would do that for their kid. So any mother would love to sacrifice their life if they see that their child's life is in danger. So you can see the mom's emotion there, a mother's emotion there. And the boy saw that, and he wanted to console her. So he told the same thing that his mom told him. So he told her that, maybe it's a good thing that now the uncle doesn't have to go through the pain. All his pain has ended, and he is in a better place maybe. So let's not cry for him. We should be happy that he no longer has to go through the pain. And then the grandmother says, "How do you know? Like, how do we know that the person is in a better place? We really don't know. Nobody knows what happens after death, right? So what is the guarantee that you are at a better place now? What guarantee is there? And who has ever known what is there outside of death, or what is there after death? There is no proof of it." So the grandmother says, "How do we know that, it's all fair once you die? And what if he is still walking in some tunnel, and he's still walking and walking without a pause? And what if he is looking out for me, he's calling out for his mom, but I am unable to reach out to him?" So that is again the pain of a mom, that, how much ever others will try to console and give all these consoling words, but a mom can never get her feelings justified. Means she can't ever think of it in another way. She will be still in pain as long as she herself dies. I don't think any mother will be able to process that emotion completely, the processing the loss of their child. So she says, "What if he is looking out for me and I am unable to hear him?" So I know that in every such situation like this, where the child is unwell, having a life threatening disease, I have seen that helplessness in the eyes of the parents. There are a lot of YouTubers who are having some disease and who are taking vlogs, and I have seen the pain in their eyes of their parents. So even though I have never had that same experience, but I know what they might be going through. It's helplessness. They wish they could do anything for their child. They wish they could save their child, but it's not in their hands even. So the same thing, the grandmother is not being consoled. And then the boy says that, "You don't worry. He had a very long tiresome journey, and he's definitely taking rest now. So you don't have to think anything else. This is what it is about. So let him rest. We should let him take rest." And then the grandmother looked at this boy, and she could understand that he is genuinely trying to make some sense into her so that she feels better. And for some reason, maybe she understood, or maybe she didn't understand, but still she doesn't want to disappoint the kid. So she said that, yeah, he will be at peace. So that's ultimately the wish of a mother, that, wherever their child is, they want the child to be, she wants the child to be at peace, having the best of the life. So that's what the grandmother says, and then years pass by. Even then, on many occasions, the kid has observed that his grandmother still cries on many occasions, thinking about her son. So it's always it always remains like an unending sorrow for a mom if she loses a child. I know that there are many mothers who lose their babies, when they are still in the womb. Even if the mothers are losing their babies in the womb itself, still they are not able to forget the death of that baby. It's still a baby for them, even though it didn't come out of a womb. It will still be a baby, and it will always be a child who will always be remembered, and it will always be there as a pain. So it's very unfortunate and it's very unfair to the mother, but don't know. So this is how life is sometimes. So the grandmother continues, even on many occasions she has the pain, but the boy learnt for one thing that usually people look at death as something bad. It's feared, and it's looked out as darkness. It's nothing related to light, or everybody thinks of death as black. People will associate it with black, and it's something very dark and dull and gloomy. There is nothing good about death. That's how people always look at it. But here, the author, the boy, is having a different perspective now, because he observed all these things and everything. He had seen the pain that his uncle had gone through, and then he looked at it in a different perspective, that death may not be just always about darkness. It can also be a light at the end of the tunnel, right? It can also be that this life was a never ending tunnel, and where you were never able to see the light at the end of the tunnel. You are just keeping on walking, and at times you are in troubles, you are in pain, you are struggling a lot, and there is no way you can escape out of it because you are in a tunnel. And then finally death happens, and it's like a light at the end of the tunnel. Now you are at peace, you have reached the end of the tunnel, and you have ended your journey. You are at peace, you can take rest now. So you can look at death in that way as well. And he says that, there is nothing like uh, death which can inspire life. So death is what which can inspire life like nothing else. Isn't it right? Because when you see the death of somebody else, that's when you realize that how precious is your own life. So the end of the story, the boy is trying to make some statements like that, rather than fearing your death or somebody else's death, let's not think about death much, but instead let's focus on being in the present moment of this life and enjoy whatever you do. Be grateful for whatever that you receive, and we should not die with regrets. So we should make our wishes come true, spend time with your loved ones, and we all should be able to die without any regrets. I think that's the biggest blessing that anybody can get. So yeah, that's about the story. um, the emotion that I tried to tackle here was death, associated with death. How you look at death, and what can be thought positive about it. How can you think positive about death, and all those things. So anyways, that's the story. Hope you liked it, and you can definitely tell me more about what you felt in your comments. So tell us, like, if you have any similar experience, you can put that also in the comment, because I love reading, or I love knowing what others have in their mind. It's always very curious thing for me, that I like to be curious about what's going on in others' head. And if it's about some particular topic, I like to discuss on that as well. So you can put whatever that you feel on the comments, and if it's related to the book, and if it's related to the story, that would be much appreciated, so that it will give me also a different perspective. So this is how I interpreted the story. I think it's the most accurate way to interpret. But yeah, you can have your thoughts as well. So share that in the comments. And if you enjoyed listening to me, you can subscribe, and also please like the video, share the video if you like. Thank you.